Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to all of my colleagues, it's an honor to introduce H.R. 8065, the Restoring Executive Branch Authorities to Oversee Offices of the United States Attorneys Act of 2026. The enforcement of federal law is a fundamental constitutional duty that is at the heart of the executive branch's Article II responsibilities. It's the President's job to nominate U.S. attorneys, and it's the Senate's job to provide advice and consent. Yet senators have abused the blue slip process to obstruct highly qualified nominees in their states, leaving vital law enforcement positions unfilled. This does a disservice not only to their constituents, but to the broader justice system as a whole. In light of this obstruction, at least 3 separate district courts have attempted to choose the U.S. attorneys who would appear before them. These actions create the potential for conflicts, and they violate the vital separation of powers set forth in our Constitution by vesting in the judiciary a function which is inherently executive. This bill averts the constitutional crisis that district courts and senators have created. First, it restores the authority of the United States Attorney General to appoint temporary U.S. attorneys for time-limited assignments by clarifying that each and every temporary appointee may serve for 120 days. These 120-day time-limited assignments ensure that the important positions at the head of each of the U.S. attorneys' offices are helmed during times of transition and are filled by individuals chosen by the executive branch. It also puts an end to the delay tactics and gamesmanship by senators to prevent the executive branch from exercising its constitutional responsibility to steer the U.S. attorneys' offices while awaiting confirmation of permanent nominees. At the same time, by limiting each temporary U.S. attorney's appointment to a 120-day limit, the bill preserves the important role of the Senate in providing advice and consent for permanent nominees. The bill also puts an end to the recent attempts by activist U.S. district courts to violate the Constitution and usurp the authority of the executive branch by rejecting the executive branch's chosen temporary U.S. attorneys and replacing them with the court's own choices. H.R. 8065 would stop the payoff for gamesmanship and removes the constitutionally questionable statutory provisions for courts to appoint U.S. attorneys when the position is unfilled. At base, U.S. attorneys are the executive branch's representatives in federal court, executing and enforcing federal law. The President and his administration, not judges, should select the men and women who speak on behalf of the President in court. H.R. 8065 is common sense legislation that restores the separation of powers and safeguards the functioning of the U.S. attorney's offices. I would urge all of my colleagues to support this legislation. I would yield back, and then, Mr. Chairman, I do have an amendment at the desk.